I absolutely love Mexico. The second I drive across the border, I love it, but I actually really, you hit the statue, you see the giant, up on the cliff looking down over the ocean, that's kind of where it starts, because that's where the waves start, and that's where everything I like from there south it gets better south, the further south you go. So I'm looking at Jesus' left arm pointing south, and that's, for me, it's where it gets great.
So there's two ways to plan surf trips. The modern surf trip era is you wait for the swell and you go on the surf trip. But you know what? Me, Dave, and Colin, we're kind of badass like that. So we did it the old school way, man. We looked, we checked the wind, we saw the maps, head high. It's gonna be fun. So we hop in the van, we head down to Baja. First 2 days, shit.
When the waves are that small, a lot of people won't go out because they're shortboarders, they can't produce the speed they need. Now, that's not to say Kelly Slater couldn't go out there and rip it apart, but your average surfer is gonna have a lot of trouble creating the speed they want, need to make good turns. Small days lend themselves to less crowds, more waves for me, more fun.
It's the only algebraic equation you've ever understood.
to break it down mathematically.
Colin McPhillips, Dave Kalama.
Hey.
I don't know how we got him to come to Mexico when it was blown out in 1 foot, but we happened to do it.
I'm just here for the tacos. Look at that.
Colin's looking at 1 foot slop, and he's frothing like he always does. Like, he doesn't just sit there. If he's sitting there, he's daydreaming. And if he's not daydreaming, he's making something that he just thought about.
Right where the sun rays, this divided day.
About 200 cases like yours, and I've only had 3 go to surgery. So I'm like, this is my guy.
Cluttered up my head.
Oh, I haven't even been recording.
Surf good, you might win. You don't, you lose. It's not that big of a thing to wrap your head around.
I've made them my home.
When I go surfing, I don't consider it something I'm going to do. It's just something I do. Like, obviously I'm gonna wake up and go surf. It's like making coffee. It's like buttering your toast. It's like taking a shit.
Growing up, I wanted to be a professional shortboarder. That's all I wanted to do. I did all the shortboarding contests, and for some reason, I could hop on a longboard, and I was just natural. It just felt right at home. When I started out jumping on a longboard and competing, I didn't really care, because what I wanted to do was be a shortboarder, so I wasn't nervous. I was out there just trying to put on a show, and I embraced it and took it on 100%, and thank God I did.
Back then, they were world champion tandem surfers, my parents, and the tandem competition was held at Makaha, and it would be on ABC's Wide World of Sports. We'd fly out there. We flew out there 3 or 4 years in a row. I was super young. I don't even know how I remember that, but in between heats or before the event, we'd catch some waves, with me on the front. It was tandem board. That's got to be the earliest I remember surfing.
I had basically lost all my sponsors. I had a wife and a kid. I was down to about $200 in the bank. If something doesn't turn in literally about a day from now, I gotta go down and get a construction job, whatever I gotta do to, keep some type of income coming in. And out of the blue, Jeff Hackman calls me and says, hey, are you still looking for sponsorship? I had reached out to him a year prior looking for sponsorship with Quicksilver, and they had declined at the time. And I tried to play it a little bit cool, like, yeah, I'm looking around, nothing specific for sure. If he only knew the truth and how bad I needed sponsorship and how little I would have taken at that point.
The big difference between foiling today and foiling 15 years ago is the design of the foil, which has allowed us to paddle out into the surf under our own power, catch a wave, and ride the foil without the snowboard boots and the bindings and the jet ski. So it simplified it a lot.
So we tried foiling, and I'll be perfectly blunt, I sucked at it. It was really hard. Tried it once, failed miserably.
Foiling is definitely hard. Like, I have zero foil experience, and it's seriously like learning how to walk.
And don't think you're just gonna paddle out and all of a sudden you're flying. It doesn't work like that. It literally doesn't. You can think of it like learning to fly a plane. You don't get in a plane and assume, I can fly a plane.
Hey Kooks, what up? Dave Kalama was right. This foil business is not as easy as it looks. So we're off to some secret village in Mexico to try to get a boat and tow behind it. Sounds like a good idea, but I don't know if it's a good idea. It's probably not a good idea. But we all know it's not a Mexico trip until something goes wrong.
All right, we're here. We found boats, 4 or 5 boats. We can't find anybody to take us out. Muy peligroso is all we hear. Very dangerous. They might be onto something. It's foggy. We're ready to give it a go. Tow us around, teach me how to foil. But we might be out of luck and wait till the States. We don't know. We're gonna keep trying. But if nothing else, we're in this awesome fishing village and we're gonna have a darn good fish taco. Stay tuned.
It's like a frickin' Chevy commercial right now. Like a rock.
What these trips turn into be is that, yeah, there's a little bit of good surfing, but a lot of just BS with the bros. And those are the memories that you hang on to the most is, you know, having a beer around the campfire, going to the sketchy taco stand place, like watching your buddy eat something kind of sketch, but you tell him it's okay. You know, oh, for sure, try that salsa, it's mellow. You know, all the funny stuff that happens. You know, you order a tequila and it's not tequila. We all know it, but we still order another one.
I went in the women's bathroom.
It didn't work out taking a boat in Mexico. So we did the next best thing we could think of right then is just go get fish tacos. Had a good lunch and then went back to doing what we know how to do, is surfing later that evening. So the day was perfect.
First 2 days, terrible. Windy, like we're twiddling thumbs. Like I caught Dave watching the Ellen show like for hours and he was actually laughing, so I think he liked it.
You know, the saying, we're trying to make chicken soup out of chicken poop, that was literally surfing in chicken poop.
But just like every other surf trip, there is a part where the sun comes and the clouds emerge, the wind gets low, and all of a sudden, Magic Mexico happens. Foot overhead, we're the only ones out there, sunny, super fun, not making this up.
Not making this up. I like it.
I don't know how, I don't know where I could be another me. Little things I used to think about. Now that the fog is cleared from a dream so surreal, I'm no longer in the dark. I'm waiting for the light of tomorrow. When it comes, I will not run away. The bliss of a rising sun shows me how to live. Forget my way home. Forget my way home. Forget my way home.
What has drawn me to foiling is that feeling of flying, of truly levitating over the water. You look at the pelican soar along the surface of the water without touching it, just soaring above it. And you always dream as a kid, what would that be like? How would that feel? What would I do if I could do that? Now I know. I'm riding parts of the wave that haven't been ridden. I'm making turns that haven't been made because you couldn't do the kind of turns I do on a foil board on a surfboard. The canvas on which you can paint has just tripled in size. So that means my interpretation of what I can paint has just tripled in possibility. I love that. Whether I fill the whole canvas or not, that freedom to go where I want and do what I want is incredible. And it's new and it's exciting. And it makes me feel like a little Grom again, which makes me feel young. It excites me. And probably the most important thing out of all of it, I'm having as much or more fun than I've ever had in my life. What's that place they keep all the gold?
Oh, all
The fort? Fort Knox?
Fort Knox.
Yeah. It's Fort Knox right now, buddy. It's just pure gold. The joke's not really funny if you have to explain it before you deliver it.
When I jumped from shortboarding to longboarding, of course I got a lot of crap. People, want to say stupid things, longboards aren't cool, whatever. And I kind of laughed it off. And longboarding's kind of like supping, you can ride it in waves that aren't real good. And I really don't like to surf with crowds. I love surfing by myself. And I think it's just great because I'm out in the water having a good old time. And I really can care less what everybody says.
Before you decide on anything, you've got to do it. You've got to form opinions based on experience, not on this unknown. You don't know. How can you form an opinion about something when you don't know? You haven't done it. And so that was kind of an awakening for me that, hey, it doesn't matter what it is, try it. Just try it. Might like it, might not, but at least your decision will be based on truth, not on speculation and fear of what you think might happen. And so that's kind of when I went, canoe surfing, I'm in. Teach me how. Tandem surfing seemed goofy before, but now let me try it. And so that opened my mind to everything. And it went from surfing to every aspect of my life. Before I form opinions about anything, I should try them.
The guys who give me crap are people I know, and they suck at surfing. They're just diehard surfers, but they're not any good. It's like the weekend warrior guys. At the end of the day, man, you're behind the desk, and I'm on a wave that morning.
You know what? I'm not scared of change. I know people, they're 50 years old and they're still trying to ride the same shortboard they rode when they were 18, and they're angry and they're not having fun and they complain about everything. I want to have fun riding waves. I figured out at a very young age, certain equipment makes certain waves fun. And I've always been about that, is ride what the wave calls for. And there's lots of waves that a small little shortboard just doesn't work. So it goes right into stand-up paddling. There are waves that are just like made for stand-up paddling. So why would I not just embrace that and jump on it?
My father called me up and he said, there is a whole group of Kalamas and we're doing the Molokai Hoi, the canoe race from Molokai to Oahu. And I say to my dad, Dad, I've never paddled the canoe before. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not doing it. There's no way. Because I didn't want that pressure of letting down the family, not knowing what I was doing. stop being awkward, right? About a month later, 2 days before the race, my dad calls me again and he goes, if I have to fly back to Maui to get you and drag you back here physically, you are going to do the race. And I tried a feeble, no, I'm not. And he went, yes, you are. And I knew that calmness and I knew that tone meant he's not fooling around. So all of a sudden the realization comes over me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna make an ass out of myself. And anyway, I do the race. And it ends up being one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life. And it dawned on me, what if everything you're afraid of is like that?
One thing that people might not know about me in the SUP world was, like, through high school, I was in all these, like, punk rock bands. You know, you're in bands for like 2 weeks at a time, then you start this new band. And then you start a band just so you could play this party that's coming up. Yeah, we had a band called the Sweaters, and this was like the first time we thought about it. Like it's like all branded, right? So the Sweaters, this is our logo. This is what we're gonna wear.
Thank you for joining in our musical endeavor tonight. Gather round and clap your hands.
So we're getting ready for the first local show. And it's gonna be in San Clemente, this dive bar. Sick bar, I think it's still there, called Knuckleheads. So we go there, and we start playing, and we're just rocking out. And midway through the song, I'm like, dude, like in my head, I'm like, this is really hot. I'm really, really hot. Like, we're sweating, like, super gnarly. We've been in like a sauna, and we end the song, and I turn around and look at all the guys, and everyone's just drenched with sweat. Right then, we're like, yeah, we're not gonna be named the Sweaters anymore.
I've always thought that, you know, a jerk in the water is a jerk in the water. It does not matter what board they're on. They bag on SUPs because of some guy in a SUP. They bag on longboards because of some guy being a jerk on a longboard, hogging waves and this and that. And it doesn't matter what board they're on. You know, a jerk's a jerk.
But once I started paddle surfing, it was almost like a rebirth. You know, I was already in my kind of mid-30s, not really competitive shortboarding or anything, just going about my life. And, you know, it's a rebirth. I'm going on trips, you know, I'm going in competitions, and it was just fun. And you had that feeling that you're pioneering something in a way. You knew it was the beginning of something. Just the energy and the excitement and the way it exploded was super fun to be a part of.
I've pushed my kids into going after their dreams. I tell them, when you get older, figure out a way to make a living off what you love to do. I want them to chase that. It might mean they end up roaming around living in a van, but you know what? Van life's like the new hip thing to do now. My biggest fear, I would say, is if they ended up in a 9-to-5 job, in a cubicle staring at a wall, I basically failed as a parent.
Probably the most fun wave I've ever caught was about this tall with my Grom. It's funny something so simple could be so rewarding and so life-changing. You know, after all the good waves I've had all over the world, like that's one that sticks out in my mind. You know, a 1-foot wave at Waikiki.
Being down here on a surf trip where all I got to focus on is surfing and hanging out with a couple of guys that really inspire me. I couldn't ask for a better scenario. And, I mean, like the other day, we were up at, I think it was Little Hawaii. 20 yards away, there was probably 30 people on this right, and we found our own little peak. We kept looking at ourselves like, why isn't anybody surfing the wave we're on? And the reason is, because there's a herd mentality. And Dave and Colin get it. We don't have to follow the herd. We can wander around, and that's kind of the beauty of stand-up. Go find your own peak, and that's literally what we did that day, was go find our own peak.
Costa Rica. We've had so many good waves. You know, me and Colin were just sitting having a beer. Kalama had a beer.
Yeah.
Got that on Snap.
And there's some mornings I really don't want to get up at 6 to take the kid. And the white Alba, you taking it? She's like, hell no. You're taking it.
I know, it's like I'm gone enough that when I'm home, I say yes to everything, dude. Like, hey, we need to go to Trader Joe's. All right, I'm on it. Hey, can you pick up the Groms? Of course I can. Because I know Costa Rica's coming in 2 weeks. But it's true, man. Their job's freaking hard. For whatever reason, you know, the mom's harder job than the dad. Groms just need certain things from the mom. That's just.
You know, the only spot we didn't get that we wanted to was this one beach break, that Barrels. And it just didn't line up, and we were just talking about how, man, it would have been really nice to get spot X. Went to sleep, thinking we're gonna sleep in, get on the plane, you know, take our time, you know, get everything situated. I'm gonna have my passport here, I'm gonna have my pen here, you know, just show up legit. We wake up, I look out my window, and like the wind is doing this thing where you're kind of like, is it doing its thing? So I walk out of my door, bedhead. Colin opens up, he's got bedhead. Shook up Kalama like this, woke him up. We look at each other, and it was on. We knew Spot X was going, dude. And we were all thinking, we don't have time for this. We're gonna miss the flight. In our heads, we're like, oh yeah, we'll just go catch a couple, you know, and come on back. And we all know it's just, we're full of BS. But we went, and we scored. I'm talking choo-choo, bam-bam, lefts, rights, because we've been surfing all rights, these regular footer dudes. So I'm like, yes, there's lefts, they're gonna surf on those rights, and I'm gonna surf on those lefts. Solo. My first 4 waves, get barreled. By then I'm like, man, okay, I guess we're done. We can get to the flight. And these guys just kept going and going. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stay out too. You could tell the ones you're gonna make it out. You know, they're a little more, not as scary, they're a little more pretty. You know, the angry, dark ones are the ones you don't make it out. But it's just that thought of like, what if I make it out? I'm gonna be pretty cool. Everyone's like, okay man, we gotta go, 1 more. No one's gonna get 1 more. 1 more is 11 more. We all know that, it's 1 more. Crap, dude, we're missing our flight. Like, it's going through my head. I'm like, okay, my excuse to the wife. I'm calling work, but we're still just like, hey, 1 more. So we all get out, we pack up. You know, the worst packing boards you ever seen in your life, like wet, sandy. Like, I'm in the car, he's mad because I'm wet. It's hot, nothing, and we're starving, and we're going. And we're all panicking. Freaking monkeys swinging like this. There's a cow right there. The dirt road is just the worst you've ever seen. And you're just blasting like, The worst thing to do is get to that counter because you're already a surfer and they already hate you. So you come to the counter and you're like, hey, I'm late. Can you do the thing? And they just look at you like a moron and they're like, sure. And then you're like, oh, by the way, I have boards. And then they see your boards and they hate you even more. So we pull around the corner. Costa Rica's a small airport, you know, so you could actually see what plane is yours. We're like, whoa, our plane's actually still there. Boom, I show him my boarding pass, and all of a sudden, we made it again. Deep breath. Click on those seatbelts. Look over at Dave, he slides the little eye thingies. Colin's like pouring something like this, and I'm like, yeah, man, that's a good trip.
Well, it seems I got a new start. You're right inside my heart. I'm looking through your eyes, and it's holiday. Give me a sign and let me know you're mine. Give me a sign and let me know you're mine. Well, I saw you years ago.
Okay. Check it out. He's gonna make it.
Holy shit, get into it. Holy shit.
Come on, Dave. Connect it. Oh, come on, Kalama. Oh, what a hack.